Hi there. Welcome to the Brave Files. This is Heather Vickery, and I'm so glad you joined us today. In this episode, we're talking with author of Better Apart, Gabrielle Hartley. She and I discuss how you can feel good about yourself throughout the divorce process and then pass that legacy on to your children and to your loved ones. We also talk about being perfectly imperfect, how real change happens when you become aware of that which you actually want to change, and bravely coming out of the shadows to talk about divorce more openly. As Gabrielle says, be brave, be courageous, deeply engage with what's hard, because if it's calling you, it's probably the right thing. So stay tuned. And don't forget that our gratitude episode is right around the corner, and we need your help to make it awesome. Please head over to 312-646-0205 and leave a voicemail with your name, where you're from, and what you're most grateful for from the past year. I will include as many people as possible in the final episode, and we all know that sharing joy helps others see beauty and blessings in their own lives more readily. So what do you say? Will you help us spread love, joy, and gratitude? Call now, 312-646-0205, and tell us what you're most grateful for.
Exciting, free-flowing, and scary.
This is Heather Vickery, and you're listening to The Brave Files, stories from people living courageously. When we choose bravely in big and small ways, it powerfully elevates our lives. I hope these stories connect with you and encourage you to embrace bravery in every possible way, day after day. Together, we can build a movement of courageous living that enriches both our lives and our communities. And if you enjoy the show, I ask you to please share it with others. Maybe think of someone who you want to choose bravely right alongside you. Thanks for tuning in. Now here's the show. Welcome, friends. What brave deeds are you up to this week? This is Heather Vickery, and I'm excited to be spending yet another Thursday with you. Hey, have you considered supporting our show? You know, the Brave Files cannot exist without the love and support of all of you listeners. So please consider heading over to patreon.com and checking out all of the different tiers available for you to be a brave supporter of this show. We have so much fun swag and all sorts of bonuses that are only available to our patrons. So if you haven't already done so, go check it out. It's patreon.com/bravefiles. That's patreon.com/bravefiles. Figure out which level is best for you and show us a little bit of love. All right, so for today's episode, we're going to talk about relationships. As many of you know, relationships are hard, sometimes too hard. Well, my guest, Gabrielle Hartley, has made it her business to help people navigate relationships, even failing ones, in a healthy manner. She's known for a unique, non-toxic approach to divorce. She's literally written the book on it, and I'm excited to have her share her goodness with all of you. Gabrielle, welcome to the Brave Files.
Thank you so much. It is such a pleasure and honor to be here with you.
Yeah, I've really been looking forward to this. We had an opportunity. I think we met and connected through LinkedIn, of all places. So I love that. That social media is great.
I love that social media really works. It's like, it's amazing because we're always trying to get our kids off it. And I'm saying, well, it's not all bad. I've met some incredible people.
Yeah, I will say that I've built this business for sure, all on social media. We're off topic here, but it is, if used properly, it's really an impactful piece of whatever technology, I suppose. So, okay. I find this such an interesting and fascinating. As somebody who's experienced divorce, I personally know how important it is to keep things positive. We have kids, not everybody does, but it's such a tumultuous time of life. How did you get into this type of work?
So I grew up with parents who divorced when I was 9 and my brother was 6. And it was a very long time ago. And in most cases, the mom would get custody and the dad would see the kids every other weekend or whatever, maybe a midweek dinner visit. But my parents did it in a very different way, which is thankfully becoming more commonplace when appropriate, which is we had a true shared parenting plan. And then when I went to law school, the last thing I ever thought I would do or I wanted to do was family law. But of course, as luck would have it, there I was a few years out of law school working for a New York State Supreme Court judge, resolving hundreds and hundreds of hotly contested, combative, trial-ready divorces. And it was during that experience that I recognized that my parents had really given me and my brother a gift. And I really enjoyed helping people to reach a reasonable resolution. And it was from that place that I launched forward, and I sort of created these 5 key elements to getting divorced and navigating your relationship with yourself and with your ex in a better way so that the rest of your life can be better. I hope I answered your question. I'm sorry.
Awesome. No. Yeah, it was great. It was a great answer. I want to hear your 5 key elements, but I feel you on all of that. So my parents divorced when I was an infant, like a tiny baby, just months old. And of course it was the traditional, my dad had me every other weekend. And this feels like such a terrible thing to say. I'm not sure that he would have wanted it differently than that. But when I was divorcing, we have a straight 50-50. My kids are with me 50% of the nights and with their father 50% of the nights. And I certainly know that I have a sense of abandonment from my childhood. And I know that they don't, that they feel really deeply loved and supported. And I don't mean to harsh on my dad. I love my dad. There's a very good possibility that it just never occurred to him that it could be a different way because it was such a different time. I'm 44. So this was almost 45.
Right.
This was 44 years ago.
Exactly. Right.
And so I get that. The language around it has changed. So tell us then what the 5 key elements are and how do you connect with people to help them understand that there is a different and better way to divorce, or as the famous people would say, consciously uncouple. I kind of love it. I got to tell.
Yeah, I know. People magazine called my book the Conscious Uncoupling How-To book. So that was
that's fabulous. There you
go. So there's a couple of questions in there. So the first thing is that the 5 elements are really about you deeply engaging with yourself, regardless of how bad your breakup might be, right? And they're patience, respect, clarity, peace, and forgiveness. And they're all about you. It's all really about, you can't decide that it's going to be a sunny day. You can't decide that your narcissistic may be very difficult. Ex is going to be easygoing about the divorce.
Right.
Like, I don't know your mother's circumstances and your parents' circumstances, but sometimes it just doesn't even make sense for there to be 50-50 for a whole variety of reasons.
Absolutely.
And I think today, like in this generation, we have a knee jerk, like something has to be wrong if you don't have 50-50. And that's not necessarily the case either. Right. So it's my whole thing is about feeling good about yourself and then passing on that legacy to your children. So your children feel like they come from something whole, like I really never liked when people would refer to me as coming from a broken home. Like, what kind of thing is that to tell a kid, right? Like,
not very nice. Yeah. Doesn't feel good.
It's not nice. And it could be really damaging, right?
Absolutely.
So
it sounds like all of this is deeply connected in the kind of coaching work that I do. Really, what it all boils down to is the way to be empowered and in power over your life is to understand what you can control and change for yourself, right?
That is exactly right. And that's why, like, I actually have a coaching program that I'm working on getting certified for people who want to coach specifically in the divorce space, because it's really particular things that people are going through and how to encourage people and show people how to do just what you're talking about as they're navigating all of the hills and valleys that the process and also like the human condition will bring on you. Like, even if you're the one who wants to get the divorce and it's totally the right thing, it's very, very, very heartbreaking and difficult for most people.
I say this.
It just is.
Yes, all the time. Pretty much in almost every speaking engagement I do, I'll say, look, even because because it's the right thing to do doesn't mean it's the easy thing to do. And even if you want a divorce, it's hard. The day that we finalized my divorce, I cried so hard. I actually called my mom, who had not really been a proponent of getting the divorce, but she's been divorced twice. And I love her because I was a little afraid that she was going to be a little judgmental about it, but she wasn't. She said, this day sucks. It sucked for me. It's hard. It's sad. And she just let me cry and
Yeah.
cry. And
It's an ending. It's a death. I mean, it just is.
it is. You don't get married to get divorced.
Right.
So, yeah, it's definitely difficult. How did you decide to go from working in the courtroom to writing a book and coaching and taking this all to the next level?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've been doing divorces for a really, really long time. I'm also in my 40s, and I became a lawyer in my, my mid, I guess I was like 24, 25, 20s. After navigating probably near to 1,000 families through and beyond their divorce, I just felt like I wanted to do something that was more impactful. And coming from like my professional experience and my personal experience, I felt like I had a good voice to tell people that they're going to be okay and show them how to be okay. And then furthermore, to speak to law students about, what does it mean to be a zealous advocate in the context of family law? I mean, there's so much that still needs to change in our society. And while there are pockets of our country who are really doing it well, still our messaging is so negative. And it's unfortunate when you think about, like, it is still the statistic that 50% of all people are either divorced or from a divorced family or have a sibling or close friend or family member. And I'm being generous. It's probably greater than 50% if you include all of those things. So like when you think about it, if like so many of us are impacted so close to home, like why should we be, number one, having this like negative internal narrative or loop about this? And number two, why would we want to pass this down, right? It just doesn't make sense.
It is really fascinating. My two littlest daughters, and all of my kids have gone through this program, but they go to a fairly small private school, and we're one of very few divorced families, which is not usual in our community at large. It's incredibly common, but not so much in the school.
Right.
And my littlest one, and I have a little guilt over this. I need to work on letting this go. I have a lot of guilt over the divorce. I'm the one that wanted the divorce. Right. I came out. The marriage wasn't going to work for me. And it didn't work for him for a lot of reasons either beyond that. But my littlest one doesn't remember, she was 1 when we divorced. So she doesn't remember us being together at all. And she's so confused. She's like, you were married? And I remember asking my mom that, but you weren't married to my daddy. She said, yes, I was. And then you have to have do you have to be married to have babies conversation. That goes down the wrong path really quickly. But we talk about having 2 houses. My girls have 2 houses. We don't say broken home. We would never say anything like that. But they have 2 houses and lots of extra love. But some of her classmates are like, how can you have 2 houses? That's not possible. Nobody has 2.
Well, I grew up just like your daughter, like where I lived, almost nobody's parents were divorced. And, the whole idea of 2 houses in 1 home, I say that to my clients, don't even say at your mom's house, at your dad's house, because to your child, that's just where they live. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, you don't want to say,
I totally know what you mean. We had a rule. We had names for the different houses so that it wasn't mommy's house and daddy's house. But when things got a little bit dicier with my ex, he sort of threw that out the window. And we do both say home when we're talking about our own home. We do say that.
Right.
But we don't really say it, or at least he doesn't really say it about my house. He'll say your mother's house. Which is a bummer. It sucks, actually.
But it's also a journey. Like, this is just a little tiny blip in time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like these. And we're also, the other thing about it, which I talk a lot about, is like, we're people, right? Like, we're not perfect. We all have issues. And like, in my 5 elements, like I talk about patience first, and people are like, well, isn't forgiveness more important, or isn't this more important? I'm like, well, I'm like so impatient that to me, like in my mind, patience is the hardest, right? It's like really, really, really not natural for me to be patient, but I'm naturally very forgiving. Like, I don't hold on to anger. A lot of people, like, it's just when you're going through your divorce or your breakup or separation, there is so much self-flagellation that's natural. And even just the knowing that it's natural can help you to like notice it and then move.
Absolutely. Awareness about anything that you want to shift or change almost instantly creates a beginning of the shift. It's kind of magic, actually.
It's true.
Yeah.
I'm laughing because it's really just
It
energy,
is.
but like we don't think of it like that in like this part of the world, right?
We don't, but it's a lot of the work that I do. It's a game changer. It's one of the reasons I wrote my gratitude journal, Shift Your Focus, is because when we shift our focus, the energy around us changes. We crowd out the negative. It actually works. And I love that you're sort of taking that concept and applying it to something that is really hard. It's hard to navigate a breakup or divorce, even if you don't have kids.
People don't want to talk about this topic. I mean, even like getting this book deal with HarperCollins was like really not I mean, I'm so grateful to Karen Rinaldi for believing in the project and taking it forward, because it's not a topic that people are comfortable talking about. And I think that that's part of the problem. Like, we have to come out from behind the shadows and the silence and start talking about it and not being afraid to talk about it.
Totally agree. No, I would like to know a little bit more about the book. First of all, I always enjoy talking to authors, as I am one, and I know a lot of the listeners are either authors or aspiring authors. What was that process like for you, deciding to write a book? And then tell us a little bit about the book.
So deciding to write the book started just in terms of my process was, I thought, well, I'm going to write articles. And I wrote all these articles, which are now actually all pieces, mostly are pieces of my book, but I never published them. I just was like, I had this vague idea that I was going to put them together. And then I knew I wanted to integrate yoga and meditation.
Love that.
I've been practicing yoga forever and ever. And so the book, every single chapter takes you through affirmations, mantras, movements, a writing exercise, a visual like art or mind exercise.
Yeah.
And it's all about like interrupting your thinking patterns, and it's sort of hinged upon, although I'm not a scientist, I don't like pretend to be a scientist or a mental health professional. But the concept of neuroplasticity, which is sort of like what you're talking about, how we can really shift the energy and change how we think and reframe our brain by like interrupting negative thoughts with positive thoughts. And so the book basically takes the reader through the 5 elements, which are patience, respect, clarity, peace, and forgiveness. Okay, so there's like a chapter for all of them. And by the way, in the beginning, there's a chapter called Pause. Maybe you don't need a divorce, right? And we talk about things you might be able to do to tweak your relationship. And then after you go through the 5 elements, then we do a robust inquiry and analysis of money and parenting and choosing what kind of law and how to pick your lawyer and all the nitty gritty. We go through lots and lots of details and weave in the 5 elements through those things.
Awesome.
So you can
love that.
Integrate the mindfulness. So yeah, it's
great. It sounds very practical and hands-on.
Hopefully it's easy to read. I tried to make it like really, because you think when you're getting divorced, the last thing you can read is like, at least I would not be able to read like some very heavy book. So
I totally hear you on that. And I love that you shared that you started by writing a bunch of different blog posts or articles, and then you incorporated that in. That's, I think, a trick for anybody who's looking to write something is you probably have a good deal of your content already available. And that's something I've been working with myself on as well. So I appreciate that. Well, now, so you've been married for how long?
You're going to make me do math now. I don't know, about 16, 17 years. Yeah.
All right. So how do you stay happily married? What's your trick?
Oh gosh, my marriage is definitely a lot of work.
Everybody's marriage is a lot of work.
Yeah. So I would say a lot of it is about taking ownership of my part, taking ownership of my life, like my part, not just in our day-to-day conversations, but like, the beginning of my marriage. And when I say the beginning, I mean, I have 3 kids, and I'd say the first 5 to 10 years, I was really working and doing everything with the kids. And I had a lot of resentment because I was home all the time and I moved away from my family to get married. And then I hit a turning point where I was like, well, wait a minute. Like, I have these things, like I have a book I want to write. I have a mission that I want to take out into the world. And like, why am I putting myself into the wife box? Right. And angry at my husband. And he actually wasn't doing anything wrong.
There's actually a great book about that called Leadership and Self-Deception, where we put people in boxes because of our own internal dialogue and thoughts. Highly recommended to everyone.
that sounds amazing. I'll have to
Yeah.
get that from you when we're done talking, get that title.
Yeah.
But I reframed my internal narrative and I took control over my own life and my own, and it's not like my life was out of control. It wasn't out of control, but I wasn't truly living in my whole 2 feet. I was often finding myself looking on the outside, looking at this person's career, that person's, and once
you
I
weren't
started
center focused.
Right, exactly. I was living like a girl. And my father always said to me, "Oh, Gab, you're like a son to me," which as an Italian man, that was a very big compliment. And, I decided I had to start acting more like someone's son.
Oh, I love that.
I don't know. That's something you could love or think is really sexist and gendered. I don't know.
Well, but anybody could be somebody's son. Like if you live as if you're the world to somebody, I think that's a beautiful energy.
No. I think he meant son, like SON.
Oh, see, I never even think like that. Well, that is super sexist. I very sexist. I totally heard SUN. I said center of the world.
It's really funny. It's funny because I was thinking like, I thought you, when you said
that
you loved
sucks.
it, I was surprised.
Your dad should not have said that. That's not cool at all. That's funny. Okay. Well, reframing that, just take it and we'll go with SUN, sunshine, be the center of somebody's world. I think it's beautiful.
Maybe that's what he meant. I'm going to give that to him. How about that?
Let's just, is he still here? Can you ask him?
And I'm going to see him later today. I'm going to ask him. Hopefully
you should ask him.
He'll reply properly. I'll let you know.
Let us know. We'll put it in the show notes. After our interview, Gabrielle spoke to her father.
Knowing my dad, he'll say, "Whatever you like, darling." He's old now.
That's okay.
Right? That's
Rewrite
funny.
the story, right?
Exactly.
It's just a story.
Rewrite the story. It's all, and you know what? It's all just a story. It's all, and when we remember that it's all just a story, by the way, it makes letting go of the arguments and the difficult parts so much easier. When we start to realize that so much of what comes at us has nothing to do with us, everything
like nothing, everything that comes at us has nothing to do with us.
Like nothing. Right. Exactly.
I tell my kids that 1,000 times a day, but
I also do.
It takes life experience to really know that that's the truth. You need to have some evidential proof from your life and lived experience to say, this is not about me. It's not mine to own. And when you're 12, 13, 14, you just don't have it. You don't have the
confidence really,
or the wherewithal or the ability to look back and go, no, all of these things, these weren't about me. It's hard to do that. That takes a lot of work. So when it comes to helping people, what I would love to hear from you, this is always such a fun segment of the show, is what's been the most difficult thing? What's been the biggest struggle?
So the biggest struggle has been taking a step back from just saying, I'm a divorce lawyer, I'm the toughest, divorce lawyer in town, like letting my colleagues know that I wrote this sort of woo-woo book, the fact that I've had like some degree of success and I've been on like legit, bigger sort of media venues has been affirming for me, because that's my own internal dialogue.
Yeah, for sure. That's incredibly exciting. Congrats on all that.
Thank you. But I'm just saying, as a professional who's achieved a certain level within my field, to then say, oh, I'm actually writing a book about engaging more deeply with yourself so you can feel better. That doesn't sound necessarily so respectable to the average divorce attorney, right? So I am still actually taking clients, and when I take clients, they know I don't go to court anymore. And so if, in New York and in Massachusetts where I'm licensed. And so I sort of go in and the other lawyer has these positions and I'm like, listen.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
I love it. They must come to you for that. They want a more peaceful process. And hopefully you're helping change the dialogue for attorneys.
Well,
because...
Yeah, go ahead, say it, because it's better coming out of your mouth than mine. It's so necessary. It's like painful. And
absolutely.
It's so hard to change. You can't teach an old dog new tricks, and I just hope we can teach the young dog.
Yes, you can. You can teach it. I disagree. I absolutely think, when you want something bad enough, you change it. It doesn't matter how old you are. So what's been the best pleasant surprise throughout all of this?
Oh, I'm just having so much fun. I mean, I never knew that going to work wouldn't feel like work.
I love that.
So That's been a
love that.
surprise. It's just the days go by, you know, it's really, my 14-year-old is really proud of me. And that's a really pleasant surprise because he's a grouchy thing, you know. He said, Mom, it's great. You're really raising awareness. And I was like, oh, thank you. Cause he's
I love that. Yeah. We joke that my 14-year-old's like a grumpy old man. She doesn't like holidays. She doesn't like whatever.
Maybe we should get
but it's the age. Maybe it's the age.
My 14-year-old, like I got him, he went all the way through classical violin through like book 7 Suzuki. And now he's like retired that violin and it's all electric guitar all the time. So,
well, good for him. Yeah. Whatever he's enjoying,
totally.
You know,
totally
find the beauty.
Exactly.
Does this feel to you, Gabrielle, like brave work, what you're doing?
Oh yeah. It's that's the whole scary part. Like I had to be brave in fact, I didn't even tell any of my colleagues, even though I wasn't working all that much at law when I was writing. I didn't tell anybody until even after I got the deal, until like I knew what the pub date was. This is like, I cannot tell people what I'm doing. So it's personally very brave.
Yeah.
You know, I guess it's just, you know, for me personally, it's brave. I feel like, you know, if there's one thing, if this particular topic isn't interesting for your listeners, just the idea of stretching yourself and not being concerned about what people who matter around you think about your choices, I would really encourage you to like be brave, be courageous, and deeply engage with what's hard, because if it's calling to you, it's probably the right thing.
Absolutely. That's what this show is all about. Week after week, that's what we encourage people to do. So thank you for that. I love it. So Gabrielle, how do you celebrate success? This is something we talk about every week in the show that is really, whether it's a big thing, whether it was, you know, when your book finally got published or picked up by a publisher, or the little things every day, clients who thank you for making their divorce, you know, less painful. How do you celebrate these life successes?
I celebrate life successes by taking time for myself. That's really important to me. I like to spend time with my children, with my friends, with my family. And I also really like to go out for ice cream.
Yeah. Ice cream is a great way to celebrate.
Ice cream and massages, you know, my pleasures, ice cream, facials and massages, I would say.
I'm a total spa girl, so I'm with you. I love pedicures. We have this little foot bath place down the street from my house. And sometimes when I've accomplished a big task and I want to celebrate, or if I just need a change of pace, I'll go, you know what? I'm going to take the next hour off and I'm going to...
I would do that too. That's totally me. Yep.
Okay. Well, so as we get to the close of the show, one of my most pleasurable parts of my week is talking to different people about what their favorite charitable organization is to support. This is so powerful for me because as a person, as a business, I'm so committed to giving back to the community at large. In fact, our Patreon, we talked about becoming a patron on our Patreon page earlier, and 10% of all of the money there goes towards charity as well. So I'd love to hear what your favorite charitable organization is to support.
So I love to support my friends who are doing all kinds of different charities, you know, bike-a-thons or walk-a-thons.
Yeah, I love that.
And I like to support my kids' schools and the music school. But the one thing that's really important to my family is the environment. And so I would say either Audubon or the Sierra Club would be what my family puts their biggest charity toward.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. They'll be our charity of the week for the week coming. And folks, I ask you every week, if you don't know the organization, get to know them, check out their website, Facebook page. We'll have links in the show notes. If you have money to give, do so, time, energy, or just tell somebody else about it, that we got to come together to build stronger communities. That's how we're going to rise up together. So Gabrielle, would you share your 3 words with us one last time?
Sure. They are exciting, free-flowing, and scary.
I love them. I think they're really great words. Let's talk about free-flowing for a second. What does that mean to you, and why is that one of your words?
So free-flowing means that I don't worry so much about the ultimate goal. I worry about the feeling of where I want to be and the message I want to send and how it is created. I don't worry that much about it. I just keep going forward and make sure that what I'm doing is resonant with the general mission that I'm trying to accomplish to help people.
So more on the why, less on the how.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dig that. I think that's really, really, really great. So many wonderful lessons and takeaways from today, whether or not you're in a space of getting a divorce or recovering from a divorce. Lots of good things you can take with you and use in your everyday life. Gabrielle, thank you so much for coming on and sharing this with us.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Listeners, this is a really good time to remind you that our words matter. It's so brave to choose kindness even when you're hurting. Thank you for being here. I'm grateful all the time for your love and your support. Thanks for those who have joined us on Patreon. If you haven't, I hope you'll do that. Be sure to subscribe to the show so that you don't miss a single episode, and review us, rate us and review us on iTunes or wherever you listen. It really does help share the love and spread the word for other people. This is Heather Vickery reminding you today and always to go out and choose bravely. Have a great week. This episode is brought to you by Audible. Audible content includes an unmatched selection of audiobooks. Check it out for yourself and get your 30-day free trial, including one free audiobook. Simply visit audibletrial.com/thebravefiles and voila, free audiobooks. What could be better than that? You've been listening to The Brave Files, stories from people living courageously. To learn more about the show, find our show notes, or get some great bonus content, visit thebravefilespodcast.com. And we'd love to know what you think. You can give us a call at 312-646-0205. Let us know your thoughts on the episode, the show in general, or maybe share with us how you're out choosing bravely. This episode is brought to you by Vickery & Co. Success Coaching, coaching that helps you maintain a life well lived and a business well run. Learn more at vickeryandco.com. Our music is produced by Matt Lewis. Follow him on Instagram at mattmmusic or visit his website, theunionband.com. We couldn't do any of this without our extraordinary audio engineer, Andrew Olson. Learn more about him and check out his work at findandrewolson.com. And special thanks to our associate producer, Kim Statler. I'm your host and executive producer, Heather Vickery. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week.